Back in the days of my youth, before we got obsessed with killing brown people in desert countries to steal their oil, Call of Duty was about two things: explosions and Nazi killing. I'm honestly not sure why this has the Call of Duty 2 title, because it's not Call of Duty 2. Call of Duty 2 released on Xbox 360 and Windows in November 2005. Call of Duty 2 Big Red 1 is a completely different game that released on Xbox, Gamecube, PlayStation 2, and PC in October 2005. This isn't just a last-gen release to make it cross-gen at the 360's launch, like we saw with some of the other games when Xbox One and PS4 came out. This is just a different game. Despite it being a side game, though, I consider it every bit the equal of Call of Duty 2. Big Red 1 follows the US Army 1st Infantry Division, nicknamed Big Red 1 due to the large 1 on their emblem. Unlike most Call of Duty games, you spend the vast majority of the game playing as one man, Roland Roger. There are a couple levels where you play as a different character in the US Army Air Corps running support missions, but you spend most of the game playing as a foot soldier. You play through most of the big moments in America's involvement in Europe: the North Africa campaign, the invasion of Sicily, Operation Overlord, and the liberation of France, leading up to the push into Germany. It does focus exclusively on the European front, aside from a little bit of North Africa, which is connected since that opened the way to invade Italy. So if you're hoping to fight the Japanese, you'll be disappointed. You want Medal of Honor Rising Sun for that. That does mean, however, that if you're looking at like 8 to 10 hours of non-stop Nazi killing, this is the game for you, and there is never a bad time to kill Nazis. Graphically, the game looks dated by today's standards, but it's pretty impressive for 6th generation hardware. I haven't personally played the PS2 version, but I have played the Xbox and Gamecube versions, and I've looked at a lot of visual comparisons with PS2. All three consoles look pretty similar. Xbox is definitely the most visually impressive version, and that makes sense, considering that Xbox was by far the strongest of the 4 6th generation consoles. I'd rank GameCube as a fairly close second, but I can see a little bit of argument between GameCube and PS2. PS2's visuals, if you're using good component cables, are a little bit sharper than the GameCube's, but the GameCube version seems to use some anti-aliasing that gives it a slightly smudged look, but hides the intense stair-stepping and jagged textures that you see on the PS2 version. At the end of the day, the GameCube version versus the PS2 version is largely a personal preference, but I personally would definitely rank GameCube above PS2 for this. Presentation and sound design are top-notch in Big Red 1, and absolutely the equal of the mainline Call of Duty games. Between most chapters, you have some military channel clips, showing some of the actual World War II footage. I love this for two reasons. First and foremost, these clips make the game an actually pretty solid history lesson. As one who teaches high school history for a living, that's always a big plus for me. The other advantage, though, is that it gives some narrative context to the battles you've been playing through. What was the impact of this? What led up to this? What did this lead up to? And it just gives a nice short break between big levels. And personally, I'm a fan of the mental breaks in games that some cutscenes can provide if they're placed well. Call of Duty 2 Big Red 1 is a fantastic World War II experience. It may not be as nostalgic for most gamers as Call of Duty World at War is, and it may not be as visually impressive as Call of Duty World War II, but it is absolutely a great time, and arguably a better gameplay experience than those. If you're a fan of first-person shooters and World War II games, then you definitely need to play this any way you can. If you aren't a fan of World War II games, then I'm going to assume that you're a Nazi sympathizer. If you don't play this game, you love Nazis. I don't make the rules, that's just how it is. My rating for Call of Duty 2 Big Red 1 on GameCube, Xbox, PlayStation 2, and PC is an A.